afternoon, good gentles all, and welcome to the 2 o'clock hour of the Stags Con 2026 Seneschal's meeting room. We are returning with our afternoon classes, and right now we will be going through the reporting tool. Then later on we will have a meeting about when the bad things happen and a general Q&A session to wrap up the day. We thank you for joining us. Please remember this is an official Outlands event, so all rules and bylaws are in effect. Please remember that these classes are recorded for later posting purposes, so please keep your your mics on mute unless you have a question, and we thank you for joining us.
So again, my name is Sir Christine. I'm the Kingdom Seneschal as of now. I will be stepping down next month, and Mistress Aldith will be taking over. So, Mistress Aldith, you want to introduce yourself real quick?
That would be me, Mistress Aldith, modernly known as Deb Hemmons.
I don't know how long reporting is going to take. It's very similar to the OSP. I'm going to try to share my screen, and I'll show you how this works. I think we should run through the reporting portal one more time because that is one of the more important things you folks need to know. And then Mistress Aldith was my reporting deputy. So she has some insights to the reports we've been getting, and we can have a little discussion about what to report and what we're kind of looking for in reports. Again, when I stepped up as the reporting deputy, we weren't getting reports as often as we need, so we'll talk about that as well. Let's see. Can you guys see my screen?
Yes.
Awesome. I'm going to try to get back to it because somehow I'm on the Google screen and I can't find my screen. I hate this stuff. All right, here we are. So again, for the OSP, we hit the resources, Outlands service portal, and I hit reports again, and let's see what we get. So here we have specific report forms. We have one for the Seneschal, a general reporting form for all other offices, and one for Kingdom or Arts and Sciences, sorry. We're going to hit the Seneschal report form because that's what I think folks in this meeting are going to be needing the most. Again, like Aishi went over, we have a drop-down menu for branches. We have the reporting period, the year, the month, your society name, your mundane name, your email, and I suggest you, if you have an outlands.org, you use that one. Whether you have a deputy. Oh, now I have to fill this out. So these fields are rather vague, and they were kind of intentionally set up that way so that you would enter whatever information you need. Some groups have a lot more to report than others. Under group synopsis, you would want to discuss basically how the healthier group is going, what you got, how you're doing, if you have people actively coming to things, if you have any events coming up, anything like that. Past business, you would want to discuss any issues you may have had in the past, anything you've been working on in the past. New business would be any new issues or events, and by events I mean activities, not necessarily official events going on, but things that have happened. Say you had a really cool ANS practice or whatever is going on. Upcoming events, you're going to want to put anything related to any event planning you have going on. That really kind of helps us know what kind of health your group is in. If you're planning events and you're doing things, we know you guys are pretty active and excited. We have a section for accomplishments, anything you've gotten done in the last month. We have a section for issues, problems, and challenges. And unfortunately, or fortunately, I don't know, that's the section I usually focus on, because I'm going to see if you have any issues that maybe I can help you with, or I can tell you who else might be able to help you. And then again, any questions. And that's the other section I really try to focus on in case you guys need help. So we're here for you. Like I said, then you're going to click the I am not a robot and submit button. That sends that directly to the reporting section, and we can look that up and we'll see what's going on with your group. Mistress Aldith has been really going through some of those reports, so I'd like to turn it over to her to talk about what she's seen. I know she's noticed that we need a little bit more description in some of our reports, and I'd like to remind folks that it's best to try to report every month. So, Mr. Saldith.
You bet. Well, the first thing that I want to put out there is we have found a few of the reports that are coming in are not using their official email at outlands.org. If you don't have one, you need to get a hold of accounts at outlands.org and get that assigned. There are a couple of places that we're working on CARTA, because for some reason CARTA has SCA.org in theirs along with their website. And it's not that it's a particular large problem. No one has had any issues with it. However, it doesn't list the CARTA stuff properly on the Outlands thing because it goes to SCA.org. We're working kind of backwards on that a little bit. But what I'd like to see, your email and your names and all those things and your group synopsis, I'd like for you to look at your membership roster that you get. Tell me how many members are paid and how many are actually showing up for something, whether it's just your populace meeting or something else. Carrie?
2 points. I have the Seneschal at caregalen.org. Is that okay? Because I don't have the Outlands email.
Well, that could be another one of those issues. What I got from accounts when we were going through is everybody needs to have their official outlands.org thing. So I would suggest writing to accounts at outlands.org and asking them if they're okay with the fact that it says that, oh look, and he's there. Go ahead, sir.
So the reason for both of those is that Asta, both you and Kerta have your own Google for Nonprofits accounts. And so that's why you also have different domains. So you're not actually part of our general domain. So we don't actually manage some of those things. That is a well overdue project I've been talking with Wolfie about to get you guys moved over onto the Kingdom Google accounts. But as far as you using the email address right now that you have, that should work just fine. But I guess that's a question of there isn't a technical requirement why it can't work. But if it's not showing up the right way in the report's overview, then that would be a thing to send to.
Okay, because it's working fine. I just had
the email address should be working fine for you, and it's not currently is not an issue because it is still an externally owned. Sorry, it is a SCA group owned Google for Nonprofits account, not a personal email address.
Okay, that helps. Thank you.
And there was another question, and then I lost. You have the thing about the membership numbers. The problem I'm having is in the roster, it'll have lately it's had like 1 or 2 lines that kind of delineates this is Kerta or this is Caregalen, and there's a whole bunch of nothing. So I'm not sure which side of the fence they're on, because some of my people that I think are mine might be actually Kerta. So it's
Yeah, I've been in contact with the roster deputy about that because I got my very first roster and was looking at things. And from what he is telling me, the information that he is sending comes the same way that it did when I was a local seneschal. However or whoever assembled that information then had all of the headliner things and the kingdom and the group out on the side. He's not putting that in there as a identifiable field right now, and I'd like for him to read.
Okay, so if I don't have exact numbers right now, it's not the end of the world. Okay.
And sometimes you don't know exactly what your zip codes are either. I mean, that's the big thing to look on. That field is showing up, but if you're not familiar with all of your zip codes, it can be a little hard to look at those things.
Because it's kind of blurry.
Now, that's a work in progress, but that's one of the things that I wanted to see was when you have people who are paid members, but they're really not doing anything. That's something for the group to be thinking about.
Fair.
And then when we have on there are your past business is pretty much anything that happened since your last report last month. So you had fighter practices, you had ANS, a whole bunch of your people went to an event outside of a group and had fun, just to show what kind of participation your people in your group are doing. And then new business would be stuff that in your populace meeting you talked about something you're going to do in the future, whether it's attending a future event or whether it's thinking about making a future event or a thing or changing. We changed our fighter practice site, just little things in there so that it's there. And I used to have accomplishments. The first one that I did was nobody died. That was funny a couple times because sometimes you wanted to. Maeve?
Yeah, I was looking at the roster during the break, and I like to save a copy of the roster to my laptop for future reference. And in order to do that, you have to get rid of the thing that says enabling, enabling whatever the button is at the top. And the minute I do that on the membership list where it says group, they all disappeared. Literally, I was looking at them and they disappeared. I was looking, because that's where I put all the Unserhaben people together. And now they're all saying number NA.
Mm-hmm.
So.
That showed up for us too whenever I was looking at it. And so our little roster fella is looking into that. Mostly because I don't think we up until now had people who were saying, how do I do that? What's wrong with you? Or it's just something that now we're paying attention to. And I'm hoping eventually to get it back kind of sort of like it was when I was a local seneschal a few years ago, where we've got the kingdom and the other thing. And it does have tabs behind it that shows the people who are TRP'd or suspended and other things. And it's important for us to look at those things too.
Right. It's just, I want to be able to look at Unserhaben, not everybody.
Everybody, yeah.
Without having to look up everybody's zip code. But then how do I know what zip code to look up for somebody if I don't know who they are? But okay, then I will be patient and quit trying to save this sucker to my computer.
There you go. Thanks. And then in your reports and under accomplishments, like I said, nobody died this month because I didn't kill anybody, or something else like that is funny. But accomplishments that you did this time for the first time, I had 10 people at populace meeting. That's that's an accomplishment because you usually get 3 or 4. Those are definitely accomplishments. Or I filled a deputy position, or so and so is doing this, and I have a new officer who stepped up. Just those kind of small things. It keeps us up here, and eventually I'm going to hope to get a version of Aishi's old reporting that she did, where we did on our seneschals list, where we had the lists of all the of all the groups of the seneschals, and their words of word fame, and other things, so all of us could look at that and see what we're all doing all at once and go, hey, that's a pretty cool thing. I just think that was so useful for having that up there. And then we have issues, problems, and challenges, which are probably all challenges if you're doing. But again, if at Kingdom, if we don't see that, we may not know it. And you're not saying we don't want to be surprised, especially if it's something we don't want to be surprised about. But if you're having an issue, okay, my Exchequer's warrant is expiring and I don't have a new one, it's okay for you to know about that and put it in here so then we can get that going to Kingdom and say, did you know about X? So we could keep it within the thing, not saying, oh, we didn't know about that. Now you don't have an Exchequer, you don't have a group. Or we have something different that's going on. You have somebody who's not behaving well at events, or little things that are in there. Just little things can be there. And then a question. Of course, we'll do this a little bit later in our question and answer things. What can we do for you? That's another place where you have the question. If there's something specific that you need help with, put it in there so we can get you the resources and the people or whatever else it is to do. It's okay to have a question and ask for help. I mean, totally. If we don't know, we can't help. And that comes between groups and that comes at the Kingdom. That's pretty much all I have as far as just doing the reporting. We're going to be, I know, probably for a couple of months, still hitting a lot of little bumps as we get everything all together. And I've already written down here that we need to do some major stuff with the roster and some other things to make it easier on us. Because really that's what, we're volunteers. But we volunteered for the position or we were voluntold for the position. And so we have a responsibility to fill that volunteer spot to the best of our abilities. And for me, as incoming Kingdom Seneschal, that's my expectation, is that we're all going to do the stuff to the best of our abilities, and we're all here to help each other. So, anybody else have any questions or something before we start into some of the other fun things? No? Quiet? Ooh. And that sounds pretty good. But no, seriously, if you're still using a personal email account for something, I did find out that Bladewood is doing that. They didn't know that they needed to have any of those other things from their community. And so Amanda's now working on that one for me. But if anybody in any of the groups that you have, or when you're talking about stuff, if I can actually see what email it is that they're using, I'm going to reach out individually. But it's important that we use our ones in the portal. Thank you, guys.
All right. I think that's it for reporting. Didn't realize that we'd be going over that twice. Another thing we could look at is warrants. We've been warranting on the portal as our folks interested in that. I see a couple of head nods.
That is so handy.
It is.
Not even joking.
It is.
I was just going to hop on and say, yes, please.
All right. Well, then we'll go over that. All right. So we're back now on that reporting screen. We've got these. Can you folks see my screen? Did it change?
Yeah.
Yay. All right. We did it this time. So we've got, when we're on the back end of the website where the Seneschals are, we have these 4 buttons on the left under the little staggy icon. The first one kind of is a dashboard. You can look up the various groups. You can look at the various offices. I honestly haven't had time to explore that as much as I'd like, but it is what it is. Officers' reports is under this little graph-like icon. So here's all the reports we've gotten, which is a pretty nifty thing. And then we have the little shield icon on the left, and that's warrants. When we're doing a warrant, we can just click this little add a new warrant button. This is so much cooler than the way I used to do it on an Excel spreadsheet. We can create a description of the warrant. In the Kingdom Seneschal's office, we've been having various deputies, like our roster deputy. We have investigations deputies. So we're frequently doing different types of warrants that aren't standard offices. So that short description for our office anyway is really important. Type of warrant, executive, financial, or general. Generally, it's an executive warrant since it's under the Seneschalette. And then office, you've got various offices here that you could put it under. And then the officer title. I think for most local seneschals, that's going to be pretty standard. Your standard titles. And then you can choose your branch. It's a drop-down menu. And then you can add a participant to this. So to an existing node, you can add new people to an old warrant or whatnot here. Warrant start date, warrant end date, and then you hit save. Once you hit save, and I don't want to mess this up and add a warrant on accident, you can get this, you can go back to your little shield button, bless you, and it'll be here as a line item under these warrants. And it'll say office approved, no, Crown approved, no. So if you want that to become an active warrant and you have approval and it's decided upon, you can approve it under this office approved button or this view. You hit the view button here and then you can approve it. Or the Crown can approve it because the Crown does approve our offices. Or if you need to edit that warrant, you can edit it under the Edit tab. So that is the warranting part of the OSP. I think it's a pretty cool tool. Do we have any questions about that? I know I probably went through that awfully fast.
Would all of the offices be, or would all of the warrants be executive, or would Exchequer, for example, be financial?
The Exchequer is a financial warrant, and I believe it goes. Yes, Johan.
Financial warrants are not being managed through this currently.
Right, and that's what I was about to say. Is I believe financial warrants is Exchequers have their own
special
methods.
Gotcha.
Ways of doing things, because those financial warrants are very important and they have to have their own system.
Question.
Yes, ma'am.
Do deputies don't need to be warranted yet or anything like that? Just the office?
I have been warranting them just to be safe because they are acting in an official capacity.
Excellent. Then I'm going to do a couple of things tonight.
It's just good to know who's doing what and who, because, and this is a Seneschal meeting, so we're going to just say, sometimes people will say, look, I've been working for the Seneschal and I'm the so-and-so and I do such and such. And maybe they're mistaken, or maybe they got that idea from somewhere, or God knows what, but really, if you're going to be working in an official capacity under the Seneschalette, you ought to have a warrant. It helps with covering everybody. Yes, Maeve. Should I stop sharing so I can see the screen better, or?
I don't need the screen, but because I pulled it up on here. So, in the process of looking at the warrants and stuff, obviously one of the things you have to keep an eye out is membership expiration dates.
Absolutely.
Because they do goofy things. And then the warrant ending date. Now, being polite, I look at my own stuff. So I'm looking at my warrant date, and it expires. My membership expires in November, and I don't even think that number matches my actual card. But it's like mine's Halloween. They say 11/5. But my warrant as Seneschal expires the end of June. So what's the proper procedure? I've still got another year. I mean, I'm stepping down. Do I fix myself, or is there a process that we go through to Kingdom?
Yeah, you can let us know and we can fix that in the system. I highly recommend setting warrant date ends unless there's a reason to not do this. I recommend setting the end of a warrant date at the end of a membership unless it's earlier.
Okay, well, I got a bigger crowbar in here. That's the end of my 2 years. I totally blacked out on my second year, or the first one. I don't know which. But now that I'm looking at it, it says June 30th, 2024. Warrant end date, June 30th, 2026. So, what's the procedure again?
So let's start advertising. Unless you want to continue your tenure.
Oh, no, I'll continue. Yeah, I'm not burnt out. And I know there's probably somebody out there who knows better, but I prefer to get a deputy in there before I, do that. Yeah. I just didn't realize. I don't know where the 2 years went. I swear to God, I don't.
So I recommend this. If you are not completely crispy, toasty, fried, burned out,
no.
I recommend getting a deputy and advertising. And honestly, I would start with advertising for that deputy with the intent that that deputy trained to take over the position.
Okay.
And then talk to your candidates, whoever they may be, and try to work with them on the time frame and tell them, hey, I'm looking to step down X year or whenever. Mm-hmm. My term will be officially up as of whatever that date is.
Right.
And I want you to be my deputy and train to take over after me. If they don't want that kind of a deputy position, like we've had a few deputies on this meeting, that are just deputies at large, they're just being deputies to help out, which is great and wonderful. Mm-hmm. You could try to take maybe 2 deputies, one that's a Seneschal in training and one that's the deputy that's just helping out with whatever it is you want the help.
Okay. So, but meanwhile, it's April. What do I need to do about the 2026 deadline?
Well, I would, talk to Mr. Salden because she's going to be in charge.
Who's down there grinning at me like, oh, okay. All this.
And then I would also talk to their excellencies to make sure that they're comfortable with your intent to stay on, and talk to them about your intent to stay on. And then
make sure everybody's cool with it.
And then move on from there.
Okay. I will do this before the end of today.
Well, as long as you do it before the end of your term, that would be lovely. Thank you.
I'm just doing the word of the second year go. How many times have I said it today? Yeah, I just started my second year. No, I'm about to end my second year.
That's okay. I was 48 2 years in a row.
No, I can't claim that one at all, but I got you. Okay. Hey, folks, how's that for an example? Look at the warrants. Okay. I will, get that started right away.
Thurston, you have your hand up.
Yeah, I see.
Sorry, I didn't. Yeah, sorry. So Thurston's first.
I was wondering, I seem to recall hearing that you can only have one warranted position at a time. Is that correct?
An individual can only have one warranted position at a time? It's preferable. I'm pretty sure. I'm not sure if we wrote that into Kingdom Law or if that's in corpora, but it's preferable. Preferable.
Okay.
I think that had to do more with having a warrant for being a seneschal in a legal position and being something like a deputy exchequer, which is a whole different thing, and you shouldn't have those two.
Yeah, it's a different warranting system. It's a different everything, and you don't want seneschal and in the hand to have their hands in the bank account, shall we say?
I was going to say, I think it's due to certain positions. As someone that's currently holding two kingdom level positions, it happens. But I think there's certain ones that you cannot be the same person, and you shouldn't even be in the same household or too well connected to make sure you have the separation of those powers. So it might be the easy, quick answer is don't have two. The more complicated is, well, which two are you considering?
Right. All right,
And that was just
Bringalai.
my question, just being Knight Marshal and then also Deputy Seneschal right now. Yeah.
That's okay.
I don't see a problem with that unless your superiors do.
Now, just bringing up a previous conversation about small groups trying to maintain minimum number of officers. If you're required to have two officers and one person is trying to be two officers to keep the group going, that might not be as polite or kosher, but otherwise it might not be an issue.
Right. Okay, Bringalai, you had your hand up. Next.
Yes, I was just looking at our my warrant system in particular. I noticed that I have all Crown approvals, but some of the offices are not approved by the office.
Well, that's something that if you, that's a good idea, actually. So I think you probably ought to review your warrants, preferably monthly. And if you do have situations like that, please let Aldith know, and then we will work to fix that because it's probably just an oversight.
Fair.
Asta, you had your hand up next.
She asked my question.
Oh, okay, great. All right. Do we have any other questions about warrants?
Actually, I've got one on letters of intent, advertising for the vacant offices, because I've got a couple that need to get done. And it says announcement must appear in at least two of the following. So the local newsletter is easier in the local website than trying to get it into the OH. Am I looking at that correctly?
Yeah, and in the case of a local office, it's probably better to advertise locally because you don't want somebody from Kirkgalen putting in for an office.
Right. Yeah, because I've got a couple that need to get done and we didn't fully understand, and they're even younger than I am, so to speak. So, okay, I will get with them. And then the letters of intent, which will include Aldith and them, and they can do their one's a chronicler, one's a Westminster.
Oh, okay.
And so they're a lesser office, even though in my opinion there's no such thing as a lesser. But anyway, so I'm going to put this out, copy off of Kingdom Law, the instructions. We're all going to get together and.
Well, and remember, because those are a different office, I would, like in the case of the Westminster, put Johan in the loop on that. And
well, first I'm going to tell them how to do it.
Okay,
that's
I get it.
The big key is telling them how to do it.
Yep.
So, and like I said, I'm including myself in the conversation because I know what the conversation is, but I have to tell them how to do it.
Okay, it looks like we've got Thorsten's hand up and then Aldith.
Oh, nope, sorry. Hit it by accident. Sorry.
Okay, Aldith?
Okay, for me, I just thought I would visit. I'm working in Kirkgalen now with Asta's thing, that she was having such difficulty finding somebody to do. And I've spoken with one of the people who is interested in the job, and they're going to put in a letter of intent. And I'm also going to speak with the baronage so that I get an idea how that wants to go, because he's going to go, then we send that over to the crown so they can take a peek at it, because it's a baronial seneschal thing. But I think that's a better way for doing it for the baronies, is, and then making sure they actually have a letter of intent, not just come and say, I'm interested in the job, so what do I have to do? But I ask them to write letters of intent on if they see any issues in the group, what their plan of action is for it. If they don't see anything bad in the group, what do they think they can bring to it, so that we've got a pretty well-rounded conversation to make a good decision.
Sorry, this discussion made me think about a discussion I had yesterday. I don't know. Anyway, we're playing officer roulette again in Drigasian.
Sorry to interrupt a fantastic discussion that's going on, but just as a time check, we are at 2:45. I do believe originally this class was meant to run till 2:30, focusing on those two options and then move into the next one, but you are coming into 15 minutes before the hour, so just touching base.
No, I totally appreciate it because we have Balthasar on. So do we have any more discussion about warrants? Again, we're available, Aldith and I are available fairly readily through our email or messaging or Google or whatever. So if you do have more specific questions, please reach out. And I think most of the folks on this meeting have been able to reach out. So this might not be the audience we need to give that messaging to. So, Balthazar, since you were on specifically for the next discussion, shall we roll into that or?
Hold. That being said, thank you for attending this class. We are now ending the recording for this particular.